Hello there, is that Tim?
It is indeed. Better line, I can hear.
Yes, it's much better actually. The last one was, the quality was rather intermittent. I couldn't really make out a lot of what you were saying. Anyway, is this are you during business hours now? Are you free to talk at the moment?
Yes, of course I am. Yes, I'm absolutely fine.
Oh, okay, that's fantastic then, because yeah, basically, well, I've been, browsing a number of providers of the type of services you offer.
Okay.
And essentially what I'm trying to do is put together a day or a package that would be suitable for the needs I have in my company.
Okay.
Now, I must stress from the outset that some of what, I don't know fully your background or what your company offers, but I have noticed that you've got quite a wide range of things, and I think that's really what we're looking for with my team, because there's some issues, maybe not what you might call your everyday type of problem, which you probably wouldn't get in many industries. I mean, I don't know if you have experience working with recruitment consultants, for example, but that's the field.
We do indeed. We've got two recruitment companies that we work for, and we do services for and training for them. So
oh, right.
Very familiar.
Yes, that's
but
good.
We have 100% confidentiality as well, so anything you tell me doesn't go any further, so it's absolutely fine.
Well, is it okay if I call you Tim, or do you have a...
Of course, Tim's good.
What's your full name there, sorry?
Tim Dingle. I'm the owner and run the London School of Excellent Training.
Okay, and what's your title at the so it's just owner, is it? And just for my records?
CEO, owner, director.
CEO, director, okay, fantastic. Well, I mean, as I said, you may have picked up from my tone there, Mr. Dingle, that discretion is absolutely paramount. Now,
of course.
I don't know if you've worked with recruitment consultants in the past, so I'm sure you appreciate it's a very high-pressured industry.
Yep.
A lot of our staff, it's kind of an industry where you're competing almost with your teammates in a way, and often that can breed conflict, as I'm sure you're aware.
Yep.
There are a number of issues really with my team that I think need ironing out, and hopefully you'd be someone who would be able to do that. I mean, essentially, I've seen that you work in mediation, you work in problem resolution, is that correct?
Conflict resolution and mediation, yeah, absolutely. We do a lot of work within teams and companies to teach the skills of it, and then get people to use it on an everyday basis, and it's extremely powerful. So I've trained the top judges in the land, top lawyers, solicitors, but worked in schools and worked within organisations and companies, and one recruitment firm where they found mediation skills incredibly useful.
Well, I think what we need is really some mediation here with my team, because as I said, it's a high pressure environment. There's a number of issues, and as I said, discretion is absolutely essential, because we work with a number of very high profile clients, and frankly, if they were aware of some of the shenanigans that got up to in our office and also out of hours, they would not be at all, that would not reflect well on their business to be associated with us. Now, my company is extremely reputable. I myself pride myself on my own reputation. However, I work with a number of young lads who, they graduate from university, they come out and they want to make a lot of cash, right?
Of course, yeah.
Now, and so a number of issues here. We've got a lot of egos going around, a lot of, it's a type of company where really it's every man for himself. You work as a team, but you're out for yourself. You want your commission, you want your cream off the top. You see what I'm getting at there?
Yep, of course, yeah.
So I'm sure you're aware, Mr. Dingle, often that breeds the sort of situation where things can get quite heated.
Yep.
Now, another thing is, this is where the discretion comes in.
Sure.
Is I'm sure you're aware that having experience with city clients, what type of lifestyle a lot of people are involved in the city, and we're based in Fleet Street.
Yep.
Now, the end of the week comes, often the middle of the week comes, and you land a deal, you've made your cash, so you're walking out of work with a nice wad, and you want to go and enjoy yourself for the weekend, okay? Fine, no problem, but on occasion, for example, we've had members of our team who've been caught involved in acts of violence because they've had too much to drink. I've had lads who've been arrested in possession of Class A drugs, and when they're out on a night out. Now, you know, ordinarily there's, you know, people will do what they do, but I'm sure you can see that creates tensions within the team.
Sure, absolutely.
So basically I wanted to kind of tailor a package with you that would meet the needs of my team, because I want to get them all together. They're all great people. I don't want to lose them as people. So I was just, as I'm sure you can pick up from the drift of my conversation, the needs of my company may not align perfectly with the needs of other businesses you've worked with in the past. Is that fair to say?
Yes and no. I mean, I have seen and dealt with a number of issues like this before, and the sort of package we put together is a training package, but obviously it has very close resemblance to what the owner or proprietor might need for their particular industry. So if we can put together a package which helps conflict resolution or lifestyle issues that we need to address, that can be very positive.
Absolutely. Now, the reason I stress the discretion point is I'm not a moralist in terms of I'm not going to tell people what they should and shouldn't be doing in their own time. Right? The problem arises when members of my team decide it's okay to bring cocaine into the office and pass it round at lunchtime as some type of reward. And we've even had senior managers here who, frankly, we've had to let go in the past because they thought it was acceptable to reward excellent sales with, you know, with rewards which, you know, and other members of the team really found it unacceptable. So that's one issue that we have now. So really, essentially, I've spoken to a couple of companies who provide training, but they were very unwilling to get involved with this because they don't want to be tainted with it. They essentially they don't want any legal headaches, if you know what I mean.
Well, there are no legal headaches as far as we're concerned. We deal with that sort of thing all the time.
Really?
And our experience and where we've been helpful to people is we take everybody on board. We have no sort of issues with that. And because we're offering training which might involve, for instance, conflict resolution, it might involve help in terms of the coaching and the confidence to be making the right decisions about things, whether that be moralistic or otherwise. That can be really helpful. But no, we're completely clear on that as far as we're concerned. We work to your brief, and whatever your brief is, we work to it.
Right, well that's really exactly what we're looking for. It's just some people are uncomfortable working with people who freely admit that they use illegal substances as part of their winding down process, or their R&R as we call it in the business. It's I mean, I don't know if that's something
working in that circumstances at all.
So that wouldn't be a problem for you personally.
Funny enough, it wasn't the same thing at all, but we've just been working with Help the Heroes, who are, you know, guys who had their limbs blown off in Afghanistan, and teaching them stand-up comedy, which is ironic in its own way, but teaching them, and they have real issues about anger management and they're bitter and they're twisted, but you know, we take that on board knowing those things, and we can deliver fantastic training.
I'll tell you something, Mr. Dingle, a lot of our lads are bitter and twisted because they've lost a deal to the guy over the table, and the guy on the other side of the table's racking up a nice healthy line for himself, and they're sitting there thinking, I want to knock his bloody lights out, quite frankly. Now, this is the type of... I'm saying to you, you're not going to be at risk from any type of physical violence, but...
I'm a big, strong lad, and there's not a problem.
Okay, well, I'm sure you are, but some of my lads, right...
dealing with, how can I put it, city types. We deal with people who have, how can I put it, lifestyle issues, but we work in a way that the training is very powerful, and it really does work, and it's extraordinarily good.
I mean, as I said to you, I'm not someone who's going to sit there and moralise about it. If one of my lads feels that he performs best after, you know, a bomb of MDMA in the morning, and I do have people who incorporate, you know, hard drug taking into their everyday work repertoire, you know, and they get results. At the end of the day, Mr. Dingle, we're in a results business, and it's just when issues arise and conflict arises in between members of the team, that then hampers the team's overall performance. And quite frankly,
why don't we look at something that would both intrigue them and get them on side? It sounds as though it would work, which would be a mediation,
yes,
and put it together with the stand-up comedy, so they get some benefit out of it. They can use their egos, because the comedy is just right for people who've got big egos, who've got those sort of reputations and want to do it. And the conflict resolution, the mediation, works very much with them to understand how to be ego-less. So it might work that we get both ends done pretty well in terms of training.
Right. Well, I see. You know, those two objectives. I think certainly there is congruence there, and certainly we can work with that. I mean, I hadn't actually considered the possibility of getting the lads up on stage, trying to make people laugh. That's a novel idea, and novel ideas are really what I'm all about in my business. I think I like to shake things up, right?
But what it does, working, I mean, I work quite a lot with high-powered city lawyers who are all ego.
Yeah, and a lot of them are on the Charlie as well, I'll tell you that much, because we do a lot of recruitment for a lot of top law firms, and a lot of those boys, they're in the pub at lunchtime, and they're not just on the gin, Mr. Dingle, they're really, you know. I mean, it's that type of industry, and I just want to make sure that we're dealing with a company in terms of the London School of Excellent Training, which where there are no barriers to that type of thing. As I said, we have been looking at a number of companies, and it has come up that people have just said, I'm not comfortable working in that type of environment. If you're going to bring lads in here who've been on a bender the night before, you know, they've been out on a, you know, typical Friday night, you know, out on the tiles. Yeah, you know, all sorts going on, and the thing is, as soon as they step in the office on the Monday morning, that's when we want the results. If they've had a load of chang the night before, you know, that, to me, that's not a problem. The problem is when they're punching each other over it. So I'm not, it's just, we need to make sure we understand each other. That's why I'm being very frank with you from the outset, just so that we don't have any, you know, misunderstandings. It sounds like, you know, you're a man of the world, you've worked with a number of clients from different disciplines, and that in itself I think is an asset for my team, because we're recruiting people for a wide variety of different roles, so that those people I think would benefit, frankly, from having worked with someone who's able to pool experience from a number of different fields. That's something that's very important. That's what we're looking at, really.
Certainly I would be the person leading that sort of training, and I just did a big conference at the Professional Speakers Association, and I use my life story, I use lots of really powerful stuff, and I think they would get it, and you would see really permanent and quick results from what we do in a day's training. So it's phenomenal what we can get across.
Right. So yeah, just give us a sort of background on, give us an example of a recent training exercise, I suppose, where you've managed to iron out some creases, as it were, you know, and where, somewhere we've really got results, because, as I say, we are in a results business.
Okay. Well, I was given a company that deals in high-end city work, shall we say, in terms of legal stuff, and I got 4 of their staff who'd been in conflict, and I had them for the day. And in a similar way, I won't name names, but in a similar way, the managing director said to me that those 4 people we want to keep, but at the moment they're tearing each other to shreds.
Exactly the situation I'm in. Yeah, exactly the situation I'm in. Yeah.
So what we did was we said, look, I would train them in conflict resolution and mediation. So they came on the course, but we put in some stand-up comedy, which is again something they all like, because they like to be Jack the Lad and they like to be up there. I took the 4 people who were really appalling at the beginning of the day, and by the end of the day they were supporting each other, they were working together to get some comedy done, they were working in the group session to get the mediation right, and they emerged at the end of the day that we really had a positive outcome, and the feedback I got from the MD guy was phenomenal work. And I think if you look on my LinkedIn profile, I think some of those recommendations are actually there, so you can check those out.
I haven't. Yeah.
It is really powerful stuff, because I use not only the conventional training methods, I use NLP, I use a lot of subconscious work with them.
Oh, right.
And using my life experience to be able to guide them. So it's a great deal of fun, but incredibly serious and incredibly powerful at the same time.
Okay, so yeah, I mean, what's your background then? Do you have a city background yourself then? Have you worked in?
Interesting background. It's a whole 5 minutes worth of story, but basically my background, I was incredibly clever and bright early on. I got 4 degrees and an MBA and did all that stuff. But I was in teaching. I was a teacher. And
what did you teach, if you don't mind me asking there, sir?
No, you listen. My story is open and public, and I'm quite happy to discuss it with everybody.
Sure.
I worked through the education system and was an England rugby selector and managed England schools rugby. Came out of education and went into mediation. Worked in just off on the Strand at 218 Strand, opposite the Royal Courts of Justice, and trained barristers, judges, lawyers, solicitors, city people in mediation, conflict resolution. Been doing stand-up comedy for 10 years, and I train people in stand-up, presentation skills, mediation, memory, NLP, and how to survive. I've been doing training now, I suppose, for the last 10 years, but 20 years before that, obviously, in teaching. I use my experience in working with high-pressure teams in barristers' chambers. We ran a virtual barristers' chambers as well. I ran that for 5 years in London. And we go around all around the world and in London and the home counties, training people to be better in their jobs, so that they've got a more even background.
Yeah, it's very interesting actually that you mention teaching background, because sometimes I feel like I'm a bloody teacher myself, because some of them, I tell you.
Yeah, you're the head teacher. Yeah.
Well, I mean, really, we're talking about people.
Head teacher is an invaluable skill.
Yeah. Oh, were you actually a headmaster then? Were you?
Yeah, head teacher.
Was that in this country or was that overseas? Or?
No, it was head teacher. The story is I was a head teacher. I was the youngest ever head teacher in this country. Head teacher of probably the top state school in the country, which in my sixth form when I arrived was we had Jimmy Carr, a golfer called Luke Donald, lots of sportsmen, very academic.
Oh, right.
Very good state school.
I would assume Jimmy Carr had been privately educated. He sounds.
No, it was a state grammar school, and I was head there.
Which grammar school is that, if you don't mind me asking, sir?
And then got another job to go out to Argentina, but I didn't go because I had at the time, this is I suppose 10 years ago now, I had a nutty experience with an ex-girlfriend who put a story in the papers about me, so I had to reform my life and not go to Argentina and reform my life in mediation. So I had to go through all the crisis management of dealing with the Daily Mail and press and everything else, because she accused me of drugs and everything else. And I went through a whole session of trying to reorder my life, but I use that as part of my speeches. So I've done comedy on the basis of it. I do speeches on the basis of it, and as I say, training judges and lawyers who really value the fact that I've got some life experience dealing with the very hardest things and the very most pressurised of things. So
certainly,
but a very powerful group now, so hugely in demand at the moment in terms of the training and delivering training to organisations, teams and individuals.
Well, that is interesting. I mean, I haven't actually had a chance to look at the company's background or indeed your background. I just came across it. It's not that I've been recommended the service, it's just that I'm struggling to find a company who will actually take on the type of people we've got in our team.
If you go to LinkedIn, are you on LinkedIn?
I'm not, no.
Alright, if you go to there, it's very good to have a look at look it up in the references.
Right.
To that. Or you can just email me, and I'll send you all the stuff on it. But my background experience then has been diverse enough to go and do in lots of organisations and work with them and individuals on that basis.
Right. Okay. So, I mean, as I say, this is the type of thing where there's more than one way of skinning the cat, quite frankly. In fact, there's many cats in the pen, and they're all going to need skinning, but it's just a question of what order do you skin them in. Now, as I'm sure you get my drift there.
Yep.
You see, I'm basically in a position where I've been told to manage a team, and there's talented people in it, but quite frankly, a lot of them are so off their face half the time, they don't know Tuesday from Wednesday, right? And as for making an appointment next week and keeping it, they're bloody hopeless, right? They've got a great gift of the gab, a lot of great lads in there. you know, wide, diverse backgrounds, as you say, you know, a lot of different disciplines going in there. But I just want someone who can take them, shake them up, rack them up, and get them out there and get them performing for my company and getting the bloody cash in at the end of the day. That's what we're all about, right?
Absolutely. Yeah, delighted to be able to do that. Yeah.
Okay.
How many people are you talking about? What's the sort of size of the team?
Well, I mean, this is the difficult part, because you see, we're actually in a trimming down process at the moment. The team's rather bloated. We've got a couple of hangers on, a couple of stragglers, people really not pulling their quite considerable weight. And you see, the thing is, with the lads working on commission, you know, it's noses to the grindstone. We don't want stragglers. We don't want people holding up the wagon's process. You know, you got to get out of the wagon's way at the end of the day. The wagon's not going to get a mile down the road with all you lot hanging on it. So just, you know. But I think we'd probably be looking at around 5 or 6 that I'd want to bring initially. Now, were that to be successful, these would be my team leaders, right? My top boys. Who I'd bring down, you know, sort of my head honchos within the team, my eyes and ears on the ground. You know, beyond that, then I'd look to sort of possibly make it even a monthly thing, or maybe a bi-monthly thing, whereby we reward particular progress or promise. You know, say, you know, we'll go out and do a day's training, then we'll have a night out in the town, you know, all expenses paid, eh? Minus the white stuff, so to speak.
Venues for it as well, so we can do it at places like top of the Gherkin, or we can do it at on the boat, because obviously we're based on HMS President, but we can do it at any venue that's suitable. We can do it in the house, but we can take them out to, I'm going to do a lot of work in comedy clubs, so it's quite fun for them to appear on the stage, so that works well. That
was one thing I was considering. Also, you know, I've considered doing it in nightclubs, quite frankly, because a lot of them work very well in nightclubs, you know. You get in there on a Friday night, you get
light stage and everything else, it works,
No, but I mean, while there's already a night going on there, I mean, we'll take them down Friday night, we'll book out the VIP section, you know, get them everything they need, just get them to blow off some steam, but I just want it to be done in a controlled atmosphere. I don't want them just running wild, right?
Absolutely, yeah.
Because, let me give you an idea of a typical Friday night with these lads, right? Get out of work, 6:30, 7, right? Straight down the nearest boozer, right? You're straight in there, they're knocking back the doubles. And after about 2 or 3 hours, you know, one of them will slip outside and he'll return with a nice little package, right? They'll get in there, they'll get in the cubicles, they'll divide it up, they'll get totally charged up and out of their heads, and then they're out in the street looking for the nearest fight they can find, right? And that's just a typical Friday night.
Yeah.
And I'm sure you've seen this, it goes on all over the city, you know, it's really, for those who haven't worked in it, you'd have no idea that some of these respectable, suited gentlemen are actually out there looking to scrap in the street with men they've never met. It's absolutely insane, and I'm sure you're aware of that.
Seen all that,
Yeah, and I hope you've not participated in it yourself there, Mr. Dingle.
You'll see, I'm very much not in that chain of thought.
No, it's just a little joke there. Sorry.
I'm aware of it and I'm conscious of it, and I don't recoil from it. I
embrace it.
Change their mindset.
Right. Okay. Because you see, you know, I've done something like this before, and it turned out the instructor was just as bad as the bloody team. He wanted to get out there, and he was saying, "Come on, lads, I'll show you." No. Okay.
No, that's not me, I'm afraid. I would be very much the non-participant. I'm very much the one who would change minds and mindsets.
Okay.
I think the power of the course, using some of this NLP stuff that I use, and using some really strong things, it would be to change their mindset completely. Yeah,
I've heard about that NLP stuff. Some of that does sound quite powerful there. I mean, okay, I'm going to talk it over with my director. Probably won't see him until possibly tomorrow afternoon, but he's currently in Frankfurt. He's coming back tomorrow, so I'm not sure if I'll get a word with him tomorrow. It might be Wednesday, but I just wanted to check that we understand each other, that there's not going to be a problem. As I say, a lot of people I've spoken to.
Once you had a word with them, give me a call up, and I'll just pop up. I'm obviously on the boat, just on the river, just below Fleet Street, so I can just walk up. It's 200 yards. We can have a coffee or something in Starbucks. And
that would probably, that would be good.
Okay.
I might even bring you in and show you the office and introduce you to some of my lads, and you know.
I look forward to that. Well, I look forward to your call and have a chat. But
are there any?
As far as I'm concerned, it's 100% confidential. and I'm sure we can do something very exciting for you.
Well, as I say, confidentiality and discretion is my double-barreled middle name, sir. Right? Because I'm not letting the cat out of the bag on this one. Right? I'm not losing any more contracts because it gets out, on the wires that my lads have been out there swinging at people with their noses half full. Right? I'm not having it. Okay? I've had enough of it. It's got to come to an end, and it sounds like you can help me bring it to an end, and that is exactly what I want you to bring to an end.
You're in the right hands.
Okay, well I hope I'll be in those very capable hands shortly, sir.
And we'll meet up and have a chat.
That sounds wonderful. Thank you very much for your time, and have a good evening there. Have a nice, pleasant evening there, sir. Okay, thanks. Wonderful.
Bye-bye.
Cheers. Bye now. Bye now.